All right. Well, I hope you can hear me. My Streamlabs is going crazy, so I can't use what I normally use to stream. All right. Well, I haven't played the trumpet. That's going to be weird because the screen is over here. Let me put it over here. Guess I don't need that anymore either. So I haven't played the trumpet in like 6 weeks. And I wasn't initially anticipating doing that, but it's just kind of how things worked out. And so I have never, ever taken this amount of time off ever before in my entire life. And so I have no idea what it's going to feel like. The longest I've ever taken is a week back when I was like a sophomore. And that felt weird coming back. So we're just going to take it nice and slow. I'm going to start the same way I always start, buzzing my mouthpiece, and we're going to see what it feels like. All right. Well, that felt fine. That felt like it normally does. Valves still work. That's a good sign. All right. Let's put this back over here. Yeah. So my Streamlabs, where I normally can like put the music on the screen and stuff, is not working. So you're just gonna have to bear with me and watch me play, which may not be super exciting. I am very interested in doing, like Q&A type things. So if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, obviously. Say hey if you're here. Yeah. Here we go. So I don't feel like I have nearly, well, uh-oh. I don't feel like I have as much easy response as I normally do. But it's not that bad. I was expecting to come back and have it be like, I don't know, just not be able to play. I'm going to do a little bit of what I call mental rehearsal to try to, visualize the way I want to play the trumpet as part of this process. Try to get things back working as soon as possible. I didn't initially decide. I didn't initially want to take 6 weeks off. Initially, I wanted to just take like 2 weeks off, and then there was a third week where I could have played, and I was planning on playing, and I talked to a friend of mine who said that basically between like 2 weeks and after, everything kind of feels the same. And then I went on vacation with my family for like 2 more weeks. And so, like I said, it wasn't originally supposed to be this long, but that's just kind of how it worked out. And I don't know. I don't know if I've been like afraid to take this kind of time off, but in the past, I have put a high priority on not getting too far out of shape because I just felt like I didn't want to work my way back in. But the end of the season last year for me was pretty tough. I just was like very burnt out, and I was like, I need to get away from the trumpet altogether. So, what's up, Samuel? Basically, the only thing I'm noticing that isn't normal is it's harder to control the descending. Usually that's something that I've worked out, but it's harder to do that right now. weird question at all. I think descending slurs are tough for a lot of people. I mean, obviously, without seeing you, it's impossible to give a direct, like, specified diagnosis. But generally speaking, I find that if you're struggling with something like your air not being as forward or as insistent, this mental rehearsal that I'm doing between these repetitions is good, because you can sort of hear what your air is doing. So if you mentally rehearse it and go, and that sounds great, and then you go, you sort of hear yourself back off, well, then okay, well, that's what's going on with my air. And then you just try to do the opposite. If that makes sense. The reason I like mental rehearsal is because it's like I'm doing it perfectly in my mind, which the science supposedly says. I have not done this research myself, but I have read books that talk about the science behind how when you vividly imagine something, it's like you're really doing it. So in a sense, I'm trying to use this mental rehearsal to groove exactly what I want it to be. And then I'm trying to copy that when I play, and I'm bringing all of my focus to the same point, of focus. And for me, that point of focus is, generally speaking, feeling the air pass my lips. It's pretty much all I'm thinking about while I do these exercises, to make sure that my air is consistent and even. Once you can get that, then it's just learning where to aim, right? Then it's not like the air is changing to change these notes, but rather it's just the oral cavity is changing, and you're just learning how to, maintain that. I hope that makes sense. Again, it's hard to say without hearing you directly, but you run out of air a lot faster. But in that sense, I'm trying to do exactly the same thing when I play as when I'm doing the mental rehearsal. So effectively, I'm trying to say, this is with the mental rehearsal, this is what I want. With the mental rehearsal, I'm saying this is what I want my air to do. And then with the playing, I'm trying to copy that, versus trying to create while I'm playing and then assess. This way, I have sort of an active goal of my playing. Yo, what's up, Patrick? Jordan, how's it going? Nice to have you here. That high B felt a little funky, so maybe I'm already going to start seeing the effect of taking 6 weeks off. Yeah, most of it feels the same, to be honest, Patrick, which is wild. But my guess is that I'm just not going to be able to have nearly as much endurance or upper register, but we're going to explore and find out. Thanks, man. Congrats on the job, dude. That's incredible. That would make one of us, Jordan. I'm just kidding. Yeah, we're gonna be pretty busy this season, so I think that's a good thing. Not a lot of there's a couple of good things on our Masterworks season, but not as many as last year, so that's kind of a bummer. But that is what it is, I guess, playing an orchestra. Sam, I'm not sure if you're still here, but at a certain point when I feel like I've got it, I stop doing the mental rehearsal because to me, it's just a tool to move towards a different thing. It's not like a crutch for me where it's like I can't play unless I do it. It's just a thing that's helping remind me this is what I want to be doing. And when I think I've got it, then I'm immediately trying to jump into constantly testing, do I have it? So hopefully that helps add some layers of, I guess, nuance to it. So we're going to go up to the E now, see how that goes. It's kind of fun to on my screen. I'm like right here on my screen and I can see my face getting red. I never get to see that, but I'm told about it often. Nice. Yo, Omar, I'm pretty sure I'm anchor tonguing. I really think these days, I really think about trying to have all of my articulations start like a little bit back. So I'm not thinking about the tip of my tongue as the release, but I'm thinking about just a little bit back. And I think my tongue sort of naturally, because of the arch, it's naturally doing that. But I've started to purposely try to see, can I bring that into other registers? Like I said, I feel greater consistency while doing it. And I don't know. I just feel like I got better when I started thinking that way. So hopefully that, like I said, hopefully it makes sense. There's a video I made called, I think, how to keep your air forward while playing, and then like 7 steps or something. That kind of explains it. I don't think I've noticed your eyebrows before, but now I'm probably going to be thinking about that every single time I see one of your videos. So also, normally I'm very, very detailed is not the right word, sort of obsessive about things going the way I want, but like 6 weeks not doing it right now, I'm just trying to recreate what I know will help me play the trumpet at a high level, and I'm certainly willing to acknowledge and accept a level of this isn't gonna go the way I want it to some of the time. I think that's kind of an important thing in trumpet practicing in general, but especially after, a couple of days off all the way up to 6 weeks off. right, we'll do one more. Just gonna take it to the double G. Gotta see if I can record this one for Instagram. All right, I get it. Video, turn it around. There we go. You know how it is. I don't have to X. You know exactly how it is. Except I don't want to film it that way, do I? Oh, whatever. I'll just crop it, I guess. Gotta suck in my gut. I'm too fat these days. There it is. Got my Instagram post. Yeah, this must be the right one. All right. So that's all I'm going to do for that. Now I'm going to move on to, I'm going to skip long tones for right now. I'm going to move on to some basic flexibility studies. Right here. All right, I'll try it. Ow. Okay, I'm gonna do some flexibility studies now. Wow. Oh, this is harder than it should be. These are hard for me in general. These really slow violins. I actually practice them. I don't feel they're. I don't feel that they're like. Sometimes they can feel like, oh, these are easy. I'm going to move past them, but I find them to be very, very difficult to play at a high level. So I play them a lot. Kevin, you're asking why I took 6 weeks off. At the end of my season, I was pretty burnt out back in June. So I took some time off. I was like, I'll take 2 weeks off. Never done that before. I'll take 2 weeks and then get back at it just for a little bit of a break. And then 2 weeks passed and I didn't really feel like coming back to it. And a friend of mine told me, so I think I stretched it into 3 weeks. And then I was going to play that upcoming week. But a friend of mine said, well, it's like kind of the same after 2 or 3 weeks. It's all the same. And then my family, we went up to New Hampshire to visit some family. And then I didn't bring my trumpet. So 2 weeks sort of turned into 3. I was going to play. And then another 2 weeks. And so I ended up not playing. And now we're trying to figure it out. Then I sang. I got to finish that song up. We're getting close. Over the summer, it was hard to be consistent because we did some traveling. And even then, I was getting like 1 or 2 days a week. But then I weighed myself when I was in New Hampshire, and I weighed 265 pounds. So I was like, I need to start. I need to get this thing under control. So I'll probably start trying to get in there like 4 or 5 times a week. I might do like, cause we have a preserve. So I might do some hiking and just some getting some extra steps in. And then for sure, I'm getting my diet under control. No more like eating entire pizzas and stuff like that. Adriel, I don't think I have a favorite one, but I do like the violin ones because they're really basic and simple. And so I like that I don't have to think about the notes nearly as much as I can think about the production. But the other books that I use are Scott Belk's flexibility books, and those keep you on your toes for sure. Joe Gray, trumpet. I do not want to start running with you. Does it feel better? I mean, you may not have the same range or all that kind of stuff, but do you find it's creating a better sound? This is for Kevin. All right. Now we'll move on. So for me, flexibility, there's 2 different types that I try to practice. One is where things are very, very slow and the coordination needs to happen very quickly while you don't mess with the stability of the pitches that are around it. And then the other one is sort of when it's moving around a little bit faster, and the challenge is keeping the airstream steady while you move things around. So I'll just do a really basic one. Yeah, I don't have quite as much control, but the mechanism of releasing air feels the same to me, which is kind of nice. I remember the last time I took a decent break was sophomore year of college, and when I came back, it felt like a foreign object on my face. So the fact that it doesn't feel like that is a good sign for me. And then, yeah, Kevin, the range will come back for sure. It'll take time, but you'll build back stronger, and I'm sure you'll be glad that you like this idea of taking a couple steps back so we can take a lot more steps forward. In the gym, I feel like I've experienced this quite a bit. And it's like, you're squatting and everything feels good and everything like that. And then you get to a certain point where you hit a plateau and you can't go past it no matter what you do. Well, the only thing you can really do is assess your form and figure out, is there something with your form that could be better? And maybe you find something, and then you got to actually, back up to where things are easier so you can instill a new good form while you're building back up to where you were. But then when you get there, it's like you're playing with the new form and everything should be better. And then you should be able to continue on past that. So I hear you. Oh, you texted me. I'm going to, oops, cheers. That's such fun. It's so funny you asked, Kevin. The other trumpet player in Alabama, his name is Nick. We used to have a competition that we would do before concerts. We'd just be sitting on stage and we'd try to practice playing pedal Cs because neither of us could really do it. And this was years ago. He has since developed the ability to do it, but I still kind of can't really do it. And I feel that I can do most things on the trumpet pretty reliably. So in general, I don't think it's super important to have a solid open pedal C. But I think there are people who disagree with that for sure. Let's check out Tyler's transformation. Oh my, dude, this first picture. But yeah, dude, you look totally different. I don't know if my friend Tyler wants me to show everybody on the internet, but you look great. Yeah, Kevin, I used to get, so if I'll see if I can do this. When I play, like my horn is like off to this, it's not like straight. It's not straight. And when I was in high school, that used to really bother me. And I remember I tried to actually fix it. I tried to say, like, I'm going to play over here or whatever. And then I read a book, David Hickman's pedagogy book, or some of it. I didn't read the whole thing. It's a long book, but I read some of that. And it started talking about people's mouth shape and their teeth and how basically setups are affected mostly just by the shape of your mouth, the shape of your teeth. And then I was like, oh, so maybe it's not that big of a deal as long as I can play. So yeah, it is crazy that we sort of have like an ideal of what it should look like. And I think especially when you're younger and you're trying to figure out all the right things to do and everything, I think it can be hard to know if this is right or wrong, which is why teachers are obviously so important. But yeah, like the way somebody else sets up, it just might not work. I'm glad you figured it out though, because that's the kind of stuff we have to figure out over time that eventually leads us to being able to have a consistent setup, and a consistent setup leads to consistent playing, which leads to more consistent gains over time. So at this point, what I'm doing is just trying to stretch a little bit. I'm not trying to go crazy or anything. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I'm not normally at this stage, I'm like practicing and I'm really, really focused on trying to get it to be the way that I want it to be. But right now I'm just trying to stretch and see like how certain things feel. I'm going to pack up in about 10 minutes here. Overall, I'm pretty encouraged. It's kind of in some. So I remember when I was in college, I partied pretty decently, I suppose. And we had quintet gigs on Sunday mornings, and we would have to wake up early. And so for a very long time, I would take care of myself Saturday nights and make sure that I was ready to go. And then I think on one Saturday night, I partied, and then I woke up the next day and I was really out of it, but I was still able to play. Maybe it wasn't as good as I could do, but I felt like I was still able to play, or at least that's what I told myself. And I feel like that was like not a good thing to learn, that I could party pretty hard and then, play a gig the next morning. And I feel very similarly right now that it's not necessarily a great thing to learn that I can take 6 weeks off of my instrument and hold it together. So, but it does feel fine, more or less. Like I'm not feeling like something is off or wrong. And I think that's a testament to the amount of really diligent work I did over COVID, trying to get things really consistent and really operating in a manner in which I could expect a certain result. And because that's what it feels like right now. But yeah. Yeah, that is almost exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like I really learned over COVID how to bring things forward and keep it focused. If you've got it figured out, if that helped you, that's totally cool. If not, I have a video called how to play with forward air or something, but it's effectively the same thing as keeping your aperture forward. Maybe I need to retitle that video or something, but that's sort of my take on how to get that to happen. But I think it's unbelievably important to learn how to play with a very focused aperture. see, not 100% perfect, but again, some of that went pretty well. And all I'm really concerned with at this stage is, especially over the next week, over the next 2 weeks, I have about a month, maybe 5 weeks to get back into shape. So over the next week or two, all I'm really concerned with is just continuing to input good, proper habits and let my body try to figure that out. And then I might start trying to push endurance a little bit, things like that, because I'm not really too worried about that right now. But I know I will need that. I'll need a little bit of that. In the job, what I've found is I never really get into job playing shape until I start playing the job. Like no matter how loud I'm practicing or how much I'm trying to play with endurance, nothing really gets me in shape to do the job except for the job. And so that's not a lot of time, Jordan. I wouldn't necessarily overplay, but that's not a lot of time. And so, yeah, right now I'm just trying to almost like have fun with it, right? Do I ever encounter tension in my playing? I mean, these days, not really, no. I'm sure I worked through a period where I was working through that. It's interesting. To me, it's interesting, at least. There's this idea that we should be able to play the trumpet with zero tension or zero effort. Like some people think that. And so a statement you could make is, I want to create a sound with minimal effort. And I think a better statement is, I want to use the minimal amount of effort to create the desired sound. So it's not necessarily that there is zero tension or zero effort. It's just that it's balanced, right? And so obviously what you're describing is tension is leaking in and actually probably stopping you from playing free and easy. And so I don't know if you were here earlier, but I'll go through it again because I think it's really effective. One thing that I think is really helpful for that is to do what I call mental rehearsal. It looks like an air pattern, but I call it mental rehearsal because it's sort of this branding that helps me be very engaged. It's not just that I'm going, but I'm very engaged with the process of why I'm doing that. And so if I were to play a flow study and I'm ascending, I'll do it again. I would go ahead and do this first. I would go, and you can hear that my air is staying the same from top to bottom, and that I'm just aiming the air in a different place based on what note it is. So you can imagine, without the instrument to make the sound, the only thing that's going to change the air and the tongue and all that is the sound I'm hearing in my head. So basically, I'm trying to connect, where do I need to aim to create a sound, and how do I keep my air the same? And then when I play, I'm trying to recreate that. It's like I've already played it perfectly, and now I'm trying to recreate it. I hope that makes sense. So when I was playing that, I wasn't just playing to see what was going to happen. I was playing with an intense level of focus on trying to keep my air going. And then the other thing I think that could happen is, Barbara Butler, my graduate teacher, she would talk about playing the trumpet in fifth gear, which is like if you're in a car and you want to accelerate, if you want to start in second gear, you could shift to third, shift to fourth, shift to fifth, and now you can go fast. Now, if you want to slow down, you could shift back down to second, or you could potentially, again, I don't know about cars that much, so maybe this isn't how it works, but you just let your foot off the accelerator and you will slow down. And then when you want to go faster again, all you have to do is hit the accelerator. You're already in fifth gear. And so my take on that concept in relationship to what you've shared, Brian, is the more you can treat low notes like high notes, the less you have to create compression from nothing. So if you sort of learn how to get your set a little bit higher and then you learn how to aim lower, at least in my opinion, that creates a more balanced and even product. What usually happens with people is they play the upper register with lots of effort and then they relax too much for the lower register. So if you watch me play, I'll play some. Now I'm going to move on to some articulation exercises. You'll be able to tell that things hopefully are staying the same in terms of my approach, in terms of the amount of support that I have for my trumpet playing. So I'm just going to play. Oh, I didn't know that. Absolutely, Brian. My pleasure. Gecker's Focal Point book. It's so funny. I feel like I say these things, and then smarter people have already figured it out. Focal Point Extra. I'm going to check that out. All right. So I'm just going to go to the beginning of the Saksa book here. Just play some easy stuff. How do I set this up? All right, here we go. This is not a great setup for. Kind of just lay it down here. Yeah, maybe this will work. Well, maybe I can just put it right here. Oh, look at that. I can just put it right in front of me. So it's funny, like things aren't necessarily feeling incredible, but I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'm playing the trumpet incredibly well right now either. Let's play a lyric one. James, I'm not really totally sure if lip bends are helpful. I think lip bends are helpful for general flexibility, and it can be helpful to explore the center of your sound and stuff like that. But I'm not 100% sure if it's. I think some people think that, and it makes sense, but I have never used it for that, so I can't really speak to it. And it's nice to see you, Chris. Yeah, Chris, this is actually like the result of many different haircuts. I got someone to cut my hair now. Trumpet flicks. I'll just tell you everything I have. Right here is a Canon mirrorless camera. Right here is a like a shotgun mic, and then right there is a ribbon mic, and that's it. Yeah. So the endurance is getting to me a little bit. I'm getting tired in phrases that I would never get tired in. So I'm going to play. I'm going to play one more, and then I'm going to call it a day. I very much appreciate everybody hanging out. My plan is to do this more. I kind of miss live streaming a little bit. Obviously, I need to figure out the Streamlabs situation. All right, last one. It's pretty short. If anybody has any burning questions, I can stick around for another minute or two. If not, maybe I'll see you tomorrow.